I'm really trying hard to be the best person that I can on my time, during my time upon this earth. When I was younger, I always wanted to do the right thing. I don't know if it's something that was within me from my parents, from society, or watching too many, G.I. Joe cartoons, or the old "the more you know," or they all had their little slogans at the end, and it just reminded me of that. As kids being taught to respect and to love each other, to be fair, to be kind. When I look around at the way so many people behave, I wonder what happened to that. Or maybe I wonder if it was ever really there. Perhaps we just wear a mask. Something that's programmed in us when we're young. This idea of equality and fairness. And maybe deep down inside we're really just monsters, waiting to take our share. Lions. Or maybe we'd been convinced that we're lions and we're all meek. We're all passive by nature. I don't believe either one of these, obviously. We are a bit of everything. We're passive when we need to be passive. We have emotions which can teach us and tell us when we're doing something that doesn't feel right in our hearts. And we also know what brings us joy and happiness. We try to deny what we know, but we know it. So regardless of why I've always been the person I am, I'm glad. I'm glad that I'm a kind person. I'm glad that I care about people's feelings. It's like when my son told me about his friend at school today that fell on the playground and skinned his knee. He said, "Oh, it started bleeding and it was like, leaking." Every kid's had a skinned knee. It's nothing. It's just what you do. But I felt it in my stomach, It was this pain of knowing when a child is hurt. It's just different. But I feel that way about adults as well. But he told me the story about the neighbor's dog. We have two houses down. Our neighbors have a couple of dogs, and I think it's a Labrador or Lab Retriever. But he tried to jump over the fence, and he got his leg caught in a Christmas or a Halloween decoration. And apparently, it broke his leg, and he was hanging from it and stuff. And they took him in and had to get a whole leg cast on him. I haven't even seen the dog, but after hearing the story, all these ideas and things flood into my mind of that poor dog doesn't even understand what's going on. I know that they probably do. They know humans are caring for them. They understand that humans have to walk them outside to go poop and pee, and that, but just for a dog not to be able to do what dogs do. And maybe that's why when a kid gets hurt, I feel the same way. I have, the point being, almost empathy to a fault sometimes. And I've done videos about this in the past, which, can empathy be a bad thing or be too much? And I'm still not sure. But I think without it, we're dead in the water. Completely dead in the water of normal social interactions. We have to care about our fellow human being. And that's why we have to care about equality and fairness. For some reason, in the modern atmosphere of politics and, schools, there's this idea that somehow we're not fair, or somehow we're less fair than we ever were in the past. That there's more, hatred and more division than ever, which in some circles is true. But when you look at the big picture, most people are cooperating. Most people are doing the best we can. But why do we cooperate? And like I said, when I was a kid, I broke a lot of rules. I still do to this day. I still stand by the belief that rules are meant to be broken, and not literally, but that every rule has an exception. Let's put it that way. A time when it's time to not follow that rule. Even rules that I have for myself, right? That's why I'm not an absolutist. That's why I never say, I'm just going to quit this permanently, or I'm going to quit that. I'm going to quit drinking or quit smoking or whatever it might be. I just say, I'm just going to stop for a while and see what happens. And that's, I think, how we should kind of treat everything in life. Just kind of try things on and see what happens, and see how it goes, but not to be absolutists. And that also comes down to even the fairness and equality. Sometimes I want to get somewhere faster when I'm driving. And I drive like a maniac, perhaps. Now, I wouldn't say a maniac, but, I'll drive faster than I probably should. Or maybe somebody irritates me and I go around them. But when somebody does that to me, my first thought is, what a dick. Why can't he just follow the rules of the road like everyone else? In the last couple of days, I've had like a couple big pickups cutting everyone off in heavy traffic. Like huge diesel, Dodge Ram, dually pickups, zooming in and out of traffic. It's so just dangerous and rude, and you're not getting anywhere any faster. You know what I mean? We all know that those type. But the thing is, I don't know their situation. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe they're in a hurry. Maybe they're going to the hospital. Unlikely, but anything's possible. Let's just say that we make a lot of assumptions about why people are the way they are and why we do the things we do. Sometimes those assumptions could lead us awry and astray, go awry and lead us astray, rather. And in the sense when we think that everyone else has bad intentions, or when we think other people mean us harm, when in fact they don't. Most people just want to be left the hell alone. So back to when I was young and I caused a lot of problems, I might break a few rules, but I still followed the basic laws. I've been thinking a lot about this lately and haven't really addressed it in any capacity online, but I'm a rule follower and I hate myself for it. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's some of you out there, at least one or two of you know where I'm coming from, when you're like, why do I give a shit? Why do I follow these systems that we've created? And it's not because I'm afraid of repercussions or afraid of the law or afraid of being frowned on by my fellow man. It's because sometimes the way we do things in society is because they work. This is why, even though I might, as a youngster, want to change the whole political landscape, let's say, you have better ideas about how things should be, and supposedly younger people always have this idea that we know better than the rest of society, that if we just change this about policies, or if people would just act this way, and this is where we get into, discussions about socialism, for example, like that's a perfect example. When I was young, I was very, very supportive of socialist structures, only because I believed that if they could be done properly, if done properly, it wouldn't take very much of all of our wealth to help out those who need, and that would be fine. But unfortunately, every charity has somebody skimming off the top. Every goodwill is a corporation. And therefore, really, anytime you're allowing the state to make decisions, or a government to make decisions for you, or where the money goes, it's just going to be siphoned off by fat cats. That's why politicians have hundreds of millions. That's why Nancy Pelosi has $100 million, but she only makes, a couple $100,000 a year or something. Because these people are on a different playing field. And my point of bringing that in politics is because it's such a world removed from the reality of what I see in my day-to-day life. The internet has allowed us a window into politics, not just in governments, but in people's personal lives. We see what's going on in this one region in Africa. We see what's going on in this one place in Australia. You can see what's happening on the North Pole, probably live right now. It's crazy. It's a crazy world to live in. We are ultra connected. Is this to our benefit? I do not know. I do not know. But people assume that since times are changing, and since society is changing so fast in the way that we interact, communicate, that for some reason all policies need to change as well. And I've really looked at things differently and asked, why do people support, say, free market capitalism? And why do people support, say, state-run and sanctioned socialism? Why do people vote left? Why do people vote right? Why do people break rules? And why do people follow rules? And what does it even mean to be a part of a society? And that's a question that I've been mulling over. This is why when people say that they're a true American because they hate half of the nation for what they believe, they're not true Americans. There is not a single true patriot out there who calls themselves a patriot, who thinks that all liberals are idiots or all conservatives are idiots. Those people don't understand what America is, because it was never intended to be a monoculture of one thought pattern. That was what set America apart, the freedom to have different opinions. But I've changed a lot of mine. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad. I guess it really depends. But still to this day, even knowing what I know, I still follow the rules. So often. And I don't know why. Maybe it's just because it's the best we can do. That's my rant. I'm out. Peace out. Talk to you next time.